Good morning. 2 days left in the year, and I got the two of my favorite guys to talk about it. Before we get into the show, I have to thank you, the viewer, the listener. We started this project a few months ago. We practiced for a month, and then we've been going live for a month. But I need to ask you a favor. I need your help. We're 4 subscribers away from 3,500. Look at that. Look at that good-looking guy in there. 3,500 plus. I'll tell you something. Just a month ago, we had 3,000 subscribers. So we know you want this, and we're bringing it to you live at 9. This is free. It'll always be free. You don't have to pay. Tell a friend and click like and subscribe. Hit that notifications button, and let's get this party started. Speaking of let's getting this party started, I got two party animals joining the show today. Connor B. from Illinois and Brady Huck from Dodge City, Kansas. Boys, we're going to talk about what this year was like, some things that happened. I know
Let's
you
do
guys
it.
did some research overnight. I was out with the family, so I could say I contributed nothing to these power slides, but I'll bring plenty of color. And I'm going to ask you guys a lot of questions because I like to do that. We may go long today, and that's fine. Of course, there's one slide that's really good. It's a little hard to see. So if anyone needs to see that, email us or call us, and we'll get in the show. Who wants to start off? Any volunteers? This
Let's
is like
take.
school. You're all sitting in the
I'll
back. No one
I'll
wants to
kick
say
it off.
anything.
I'll
All
kick I'll
right, I'm
kick
going to
it
grab a
off.
cup of
You
coffee
guys
here.
you guys add color as we go because Brady pulled this slide up. And number one, I had a lot of fun looking back on 23, just looking at where the market was and what all we did. One thing that isn't fun here we have is what were our winners and losers in the commodity world, and our world, right? Corn, beans, wheat. We're in the loser commodity, loser red slide over there, which isn't as much fun. But some big winners, Tommy Brady, orange juice, cocoa, lumber, and Brady in your world, feeder
Cattle.
cattle still a winner. Kind
It's
of
hard to
surprised me.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeder cattle still up 20% versus last year ago prices, but hard to believe they are still on the green side for the year.
Right.
Brady, let me ask you
Unbelievable.
a question. If someone called you from the press or media, would you say the cattle market's still in a bull market?
I think so. I don't know that it's completely rolled over yet, but yeah, it's
Like you had a
20%
little
up
car
on.
accident and it's fixable. We just got to get the front left corner panel fixed, and we could be on our way down the road.
You got a log jam of up front with the fat side of things, and we got to work through that inventory before we give funds a reason to buy. Funds have to have a reason to come back to these markets. They go up, they go down. Funds come in, they come out, and funds need a reason to come by. I think green grass and grilling season helps that on the cattle side of things, but we got a front end log jam with fat cattle right now.
Yeah, there was nice weather, big gain. We are starting to get some sloppy weather. It's raining here today in Valparaiso, Indiana.
Same.
Grass is still green like it's spring. If you drove by my house, you'd be like, "Would you just put fertilizer down?" Everyone's lawns are green. This is interesting, but it's going to be
Yeah.
talk to some clients and I. We're starting to get sloppy conditions. Would you agree?
Yeah, and that weather, the blizzard in Nebraska and South Dakota, that's going to impact gains. And we posted record high gains on live cattle last week, but they peak, and hopefully we're on the back end of that now. But, yeah,
Yeah.
Mm,
Here in Illinois, it's not
coffee's
very
good.
much.
You go, Connor.
It's not very much. It was close to 60. I think Christmas Eve it got close to 70 degrees. I wore a t-shirt. So
you
uh
lucky duck.
sloppy here as well. Same thing like you, Tommy. Green grass. So here
Yeah,
we go, kicking it off. One thing I did want to mention, if we could backtrack, producer Joe, is just looking at this. Nat gas down 45% on the year. That is the big loser. And in our world, I think we're okay with nat gas being down if we're just looking at that.
I hear
And
nat
then
gas lower, Connor. I think lower fertilizer prices, and that is
right.
reflective. I did see a chart of that this morning. So fertilizer prices are right into that level. If you go back and look at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, they're coming right in line with that, except for those higher years we had. That would be 22, 21 were high. So we're coming back that 19, 20 time frame. Go ahead.
Right.
yeah.
So kicking it on, I think we might break down corn, soybeans, wheat later. Other thing we have the US dollar, kind of a developing story recently, but it's been a wild ride on the dollar index, right? July is where we close to bottomed out there. Then we had a nice rally going into Sep Oc, and now we're back down. What's that say there, Brady? 100, right at
Right at that
100,
101 mark, right as of, yeah. recently there.
If you looked at that dollar chart, you would think commodities were trending up, and that is not the case. Commodities are definitely trending lower. They are starting to find a little bottom down here. Maybe gold was the big benefiter of this. Maybe Bitcoin. If you ask for a shocker of 2023, I'd put Bitcoin on the bingo card.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That coming. Stock market just roaring, continuing to roar. I listened to our friend Kenny, who does that great morning video. Everyone should check it out, Kenny Polcari. And he said,
Yeah.
who the heck is going to sell their stocks in the last few days of the year and take that profit? So the stocks are taxed a little different than other investments. And Kenny Polcari's got a great morning video out there that we
That's a
love.
great point, Tommy. Yeah, about
Yeah.
selling those dealing with those capital gains. Here, this a good graphic from on Bloomberg chart that breaks down that U.S. dollar index a little deeper and looks, the dollar index is a basket of, I think, 14 currencies, and it's really heavily weighted on the euro. But looking at, the Mexican peso versus the U.S. dollar, and the Mexican peso is 14% up on the U.S. dollar, and that really makes corn competitive into Mexico. So breaking it down a little bit deeper beyond that surface level of what's the dollar index doing as a basket, but what versus Brazil, Mexico, Japan, China down 3.2% versus US dollar, and Brazil up 8.6. That's got to impact the corn trade and the value of US corn versus Brazil corn.
Mexico, just a huge buyer of corn this year. Great client, and hopefully we get that rail situation fixed. We have problems on the border, and I know tomorrow we're going to talk about the things we do know will happen in 2024. Before we continue the show, of course, if anyone's out there wants to ask us a question, subscribe to YouTube channel. You have to subscribe to ask a question. We have some friends from LinkedIn watching. Go ahead and ask us a question. If we can't answer it on air, we'll definitely get a hold of you off the air and take care of that. So that's one of the things that's nice about doing a live show. I mean, how many times have I sat, guys, and watched the CNBC, said, I wish I could ask Becky Quick or Joe Kernan a question, or Rick Santelli. Now, in the old days, Rick Santelli, this is fun. We used to watch him, and then I'd literally run down the floor and go ask him a question, and he is just that nice of a guy. I can still text Rick Santelli to this day and ask him a question. We want to have that type of relationship with you all where you could ask a question. We may not know the answer, but lucky for us, we work with a bunch of really smart people, and we can get that figured out. Continue on. What other tidbits do we have?
Connor, you want to?
Yeah, let's do. This is a great moisture graph. Let's jump into corn soybean chart and look at that, and then we can jump into the precipitation, how we got there, if that's all right with you guys.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So D's 23 corn, right? Let's expand. What was it, down 29, close to 30% on the year? How did we get there, guys? What was the story throughout the year? And the main one, if we just go through this as a calendar year, Brady mentioned it. We got, if you look at February, we got crop insurance priced. And from February on, we had that steady slide downward, right? The February report was bearish, right, Brady?
We had that outlook meeting at the end of February, and they came in and printed a 181, just an astronomical yield that nobody believed on corn. And the market
trend
reacted.
line.
Yeah,
right.
Sunk
And
the market.
And we had that slide down, and then boom, weather market or lack thereof. Let's go back to corn.
Can we go back to corn real quick? I want to add a little color on this. So we had that big zip up in May, June. That was crazy. Summer intern here, Marcus. It was wild. So this young man came to my house. He's going to help me with all this stuff. He did nothing but sit back in the back, and him and Joe were on the back porch. It was by far, June was one of the craziest months ever in my brokerage career. But here's where things got messed up for the farmer. And this is why I could see where they got messed up. When we sold off hard, it was comfortable to say, yeah, that sold off too much. But then we rallied. And that gave them that breath of fresh air. Like, yep, we're back. We're coming back. When we get to 575, $6, I'm going to sell. We just stopped on a dime, and we're still trending down. As Dennis Gartman would say, we're going from the top left to the bottom right. And I don't know that we're done going down. And that's very scary.
Absolutely.
When you look at this market.
And you know what's fun thing that it's not fun, but something that I look at is when we look at the biggest catalyst, right? Weather absolutely caught that higher. Then we caught some rains when we dropped lower. But you know what the biggest one, in my opinion, is when we look at what the USDA and what farmers planted was the biggest swing. And so we go back to that June 30th acreage report, right? Average trade estimate going into that, we thought maybe we were going to see on the high end 92 million acres of corn, 87 million acres of beans, right? A very common acreage shift. And what did we do? the most expensive crop we've ever put in the ground, and we planted a record amount of corn acres for the past 20 years, I believe. 94 million acres of corn, 83 million acres of soybeans. It changed the balance sheet like that incredibly quick.
Yeah.
And, if you're beating yourself up for not catching or not looking at, remember, look at the trade. I love looking at the trade estimates of where they thought we were going to be. They were nowhere in the realm of how little soybean acres we were going to plant. So that was, talk about a story. And what really changed the dynamic was this acreage shift we saw on June 30th.
Yeah, one thing about economics and markets is when you keep a market high enough for long enough, you are asking the world to plant it. You are asking the world to produce corn, wheat, and beans. You're asking the world to mine extra gold when it's at 21, 2200. The rules of economics is to, in commodities, is to produce as much of a commodity as you can, as efficiently as you can. And congratulations to the American farmer. You've become extremely efficient with what you do and how you manage it. But in the end, it caught up to us. And this was the year, if I remember anything about 2023, it was the year the markets realized we have enough commodities. Now, you have your outliers like your orange juice and stuff. I had someone called to do an orange juice. I said, no, thanks. Do it on your Schwab account. I don't want your orange juice trade. We are corn, wheat, beans, cattle brokers. We do some other things and we do it well. All these other things on the outside of that chart that went up and down big, that's not, overall, corn rules the world. So my clients up in North Dakota, when they grow barley or anything else, or anything for different products, it's all based off of where corn is. And if corn goes up, then it starts to play off of other acres. And the American farmer loves to plant corn. They love to harvest corn. Your little kids love to harvest corn, Connor, that you're grooming these kids to grow corn and love corn. Now, if you could teach them to sell it, that would be Dad of the Year trick right there.
There we go.
What else do we have, fellas?
Last one. You hit the nail on the head, Tommy, when you talked about efficiency. And let's look at the past and I believe current rainfall. A lot going on here. We're going to have Brady walk us through it. But when you talk about efficiency and on yields, if we can look at rainfall, this is in Ames, Iowa, right, Brady?
Yeah, Ames, Iowa. Yep, a great graph from Nutrien. They put out some good information and lovely charts. But yeah, looking at yearly rainfall from January to current, and 7 inches below their annual average, but just enough rain to make a crop, and 80% of normal. And you can see kind of those blue spikes as we progress on the right side of that graph. Those are rainfall events that came kind of just in time to milk this crop through the year.
Yeah. That's a great way to say it. The rains came just in time and just enough, right? 80% of rainfall, and we can see decent yields and enough to fill the pipeline. So,
yeah. So I guess my question, I'd throw it back to you guys, or throw it back to the farmer, to the 20-some people watching us, is what pickle would we be in if the state of Iowa had adequate rains? Because nobody does it better than Iowa and Illinois. And where we are at our office in Bettendorf, Iowa, Ryan Fogel has an office there, and then Dave Lechtenberg just opened an office in Ames. I spent a lot of time in Bettendorf this summer, and it was hot. It was dry. I walked cornfields with clients, and I'm like, this. I wonder why you didn't sell it. But when I went back at harvest with those same clients, they just shook their head and they said, I don't know where it came from. I said, well, you bought the best seed, right? And you put the best fertilizer on it, and you have the best equipment, and you had the right pressure on the planter. I mean, you go through all these steps to do it, and then yet again, we get bamboozled that we're good at farming. So if I could give the American farmer, or any farmer watching, to our friends down south, in 2024, let's pretend we're awesome at what we do. We're going to grow our APH, and if we don't, we'll have to pivot quickly and make some changes. But if you market from the standpoint that you're awesome, be a little cocky and say, I'm a damn good farmer. Let's go. And if you market like that, you'll do better. I promise you.
Yeah.
Great point.
Great way to say it, and great segue into our show tomorrow. Hopefully we're going to get our crystal balls out and look what we can be looking forward to in 2024.
Everyone, thank you for watching. We just hit 3,500. We couldn't have done it without you. Spread the word. We'll be live at 9. Two of the best there, Connor and Brady. Ask us about our premium content. We can get that to you. With that, congratulations to us, I guess. We will be live at 9, free every day, educating the farmer. Have a good day.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.